Everything was so painful. No IV, no epidural, completely natural. I almost had a car baby. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is for you. Hi, I'm here to talk about my birth story. So when I was pregnant with Harper, what I found the most helpful for me as I approached the expected delivery date was actually hearing about different people's stories. I really wanted to just be familiar with everyone's experience because they're all different, and I know mine would be different too, but I kind of wanted to mentally prepare for all of the different ways things could have gone. So it's week 38. I am 3.5 centimeters dilated, 0% effaced, and I, as well as Harper at the time, was healthy. I had a little bit of low amniotic fluid, but nothing to be concerned about. At this point, I guess I was just really excited about being almost done. It was just 2 weeks left. I can hang in there, so close. It's been such a long journey, so it's really nice to be able to say we're almost at the finish line. So fast forward to 39 weeks. I was slightly more dilated, but still under 4. So more than 3.5 centimeters, but less than 4 centimeters. And I was 75% effaced. Everything was still healthy, so not much going on there. To be honest, I was a little disappointed that I wasn't more dilated than I was, because coming up to the 38-week mark, I was really just like getting more and more dilated at a quicker rate. And so when it kind of slowed down and just like paused, I was like, oh no, like I know I had been preparing myself for a delayed delivery, like a couple days at the least, but then to also get that feeling, my own feeling of confirmation of like, oh yeah, dilation has slowed down, so therefore I will probably be like super late, but we move along. Okay, so fast forward again to week 40, and now this is when the doctor had estimated our delivery date. So we thought, oh my gosh, this could be the last weekend that we have our date night, date day. So let's make the most of it. That particular night, I had a really rough time sleeping. I had gotten up to pee so many times, but around 5:30, when I went to the restroom, I noticed that there was like a different colored discharge than I typically would have. It was slightly pink and cloudy. And so I thought, that's interesting. I wonder what that means. But it was at 5:30. So then I went back to sleep. And then at 10:30, that's when I decided to finally get up. I thought, okay, I should walk my dog. He probably needs to get his walkies out. I decided to call the medical center, and they said, oh, well, that discharge discoloration is very normal. It's very, don't be concerned. Have you had any contractions, or has your water broken? I said no to both. And so they're like, oh, don't worry about it. Thanks for calling, because most people will just go into the hospital a little too early and then they have to be sent home. And that's the last thing I wanted. So I was glad I called, hung up, and then we went on our late morning trip to Redmond. We hit up Five Stones in Redmond. And then on our way home, Ethan asked, did we pack a hospital bag? Like, are we even ready? And I said, well, I kind of packed half of a bag. Like, I got your snacks ready. Does that count? And we decided, okay, well, how about, since we are at 40 weeks, why don't we install the car seat, and then let's take a look at the hospital bag. So we came home, installed the car seat, which, by the way, was the most complicated thing ever. I didn't have instructions because we were borrowing it from a friend, but my goodness, I was confused. He was confused. We were struggling in there, laughing a ton, because we were just like, what are we even doing? Is this even safe? Are we doing this right? So it took us a good while to get that figured out. As soon as we figured it out, we went inside to take a look at the hospital bag. We pulled everything out because we wanted to see what we had in there and what else we needed to pack. As we pulled out everything, I felt a huge gush coming out from me. I was so confused. Like, what is this? It legit was an uncontrollable feeling of pee. Honestly, this is probably what babies feel like. You cannot stop it. There's no way to stop it. So I yelled, "Oh my gosh, I think my water broke." Ran to the bathroom. Ethan's like, "Oh my gosh." And he starts to clean up the amniotic fluid, and it's clear. It's not like necessarily gross, but it is bodily fluid. So he is trying to scrub out the carpet. We don't have a big place, but the area that I was standing was all carpet, so it did take a little extra work. But then once we got that done, I was in the bathroom cleaning myself up, making sure I got to the toilet before anything else. And then finally things had settled down. He was scrubbing, and I walked out of the bathroom, and I was like, I can't believe that happened. So now what? And then another huge gush right on the carpet. And so I was like, oh my gosh, like, what is going on? Run back to the bathroom. I can hear him running around in circles. And he's like, it's happening! It's happening! We both were hysterically laughing. Like, this was so comical to us that it would happen twice. And then, like, on the carpet, and we're just like, we're both chickens with our heads cut off, running around like, what are we doing? What happens? I guess this is what you get for not researching beforehand. So I took a hot shower, and that's when contractions started to happen. But the hot water really, really helped. So that's what we did. And Ethan likes to shower, so he's like, do you mind if I take a quick shower before we head out? And I was like, oh yeah, like, not a big deal. The contractions aren't that bad. They're just like uncomfortable. And as he was in the shower, I finished kind of cleaning up and then getting things packed, like pillows for him, extra clothes for him, all that kind of jazz. At 1:05, I took a picture of Parker, and not important at all, but he knew that something was happening, something was changing. And so I wanted to document that moment. As I was packing the clothes, getting things ready, my contractions did get stronger and more painful. But again, I was thinking, let's just wait it out as long as I can, because I just don't want to get to the hospital and then get sent back. So I waited, and we decided to watch YouTube for a little bit. I think we were watching Bon Appetit's 50 ways to cook steak. I'm vegan too, so it doesn't it meant nothing to me. As we were watching that, Ethan gets a call from his brother saying, well, if Grace's water broke, I think you should go to the hospital. I think that's what you're supposed to do. And we're like, are you sure? Because the doctor didn't say anything about your water breaking. She probably did say something, and we weren't paying attention. So anyway, while that conversation was happening with Ethan and his brother, I was like, well, I should probably start tracking my contractions. And then at around 1:13, I called the medical center again and said, hey, I am getting my contractions. They're this far apart. And she was like, oh, that's great. Did your water break? And I said, oh yeah, twice. Like, it happened twice. And she's like, oh, well then come on in. And I was in between contractions, so I wasn't in pain. Oh, Harper, you gotta turn that off. Good job. Was that scary? As I hung up that phone and was mouthing to Ethan, like, we need to get going, I looked down at my phone, and a notification had come up saying, you need to be heading to the hospital now. So I was like, ah! So we decided to obviously head to the hospital, grabbed a pillow and blanket for Ethan while he grabbed the rest of everything. And that's when a really strong contraction came in, to the point where, like, I stood up, had to sit back down, close my eyes, and I was just frozen. I could not think about anything other than let this pass. Okay, so now it's 1:28 and we start to head to the hospital. Contractions were extreme. They were getting way painful. And Ethan said, you were dead silent. I didn't know what to say or what to do. Billie Eilish was playing on the radio. I remember grasping the handle in the car so tight that my hands were sore afterward. My knuckles were super white, and my nails had dug into the palm of my hands. All I could think in the car was, oh my gosh, it hurts so bad. And to the point where even it was so painful that I couldn't even logically in my head think that it was painful. I think I just drew a blank. So thank goodness the hospital is only 15 minutes away, because that drive felt like the longest thing ever and the most painful thing ever. So anyway, we park in a loading zone. Didn't know where we were going. He ran inside to figure that out, and I was waiting for another contraction to pass, and then slowly got out of the car as he was grabbing everything, had come back, and then he directed me to the front desk for delivery. At this point, contractions were really, really hard. There was a gentleman who was coming out of the area that we needed to go to, and he held the door open for me, and I was like, thank God. I couldn't even say thank you because I was in so much pain. I was so slow at walking and like holding the wall as I like just inched forward like a snail. Everything felt so like hard to do, painful to do. So anyway, I got there and we needed to sign paperwork, obviously. So for any like legal documentation, my name is very long. And so I was so upset that I needed to like write out my full name and then signature it and then put the date. Like everything, all of that seemed like, I was like, it's taking too long. I think I had to sign 4 or 5 papers, and each time it got more scribbly because it was so painful. And all I could think was, get this signed so I can get this baby out. My face was super sweaty, my nose, my neck, everything was so painful. Like, I don't know if I've ever had that before, but so painful that you are just sweating so much to just like contain that pain. And I looked over at Ethan in like very broken sentence form. I was like, Ethan, I need it. The epi. And he was like, the epidural? And I was like, yeah. Most stories that I've heard is that the delivery can last several hours, up to like a day. So I was like, if this is the pain that I have to endure for 24 hours, I can't do it. And at this point, I had mentally been preparing myself to like be like, I can do it. Like, it's going to be easy, or it's not going to be easy, but like, it's possible. I'm going to do it. And at that point, when the pain was so hard, even though I had made it clear to my own like competitive self that I would not use epidural, I told Ethan, I was like, I don't care. That's all out the window. I don't care at all. I just need it. Meanwhile, the lady comes back and she's like, the bracelet is taking a while to print. Like, are you okay? Or should we bring the bracelet later? Like, can you wait? And I was like, I can't. So then they rushed me over to the monitoring area, basically to check how far you are dilated. So we walked over to that area, mind you, very, very hard, very, very slow. And we get there, and essentially what you have to do is like you have to strip. So I was so glad I was wearing a dress, not trying to like take off my pants while this is all happening. There's a contraction, so I just like leaned on the cot bed thing while they're like, we need you to get on there. And I couldn't respond. I was just like, the pain, like in my head, I was like, I get it. I will do it in just a minute. Let me get through this pain. So I got on the bed and she checked, and the nurse was like, oh, you are more than 9.5 centimeters dilated. Like, let's go. So I like heard and saw a bunch of nurses like running up to our bed, rushing it. And it was just like the location where I was to the delivery room was just across the hallway. But in that short amount of time, I was like, I have to push. And the lady was like, don't push, we're not ready. And I was like, okay. And honestly, that is the hardest thing to do. When your body is naturally and uncontrollably pushing, to hold that in is so painful and so hard to do because everything in you is just like instinctively pushing out. So as soon as I got into the room, they were hooking up the cords and everything, the electrical stuff that needs to get connected. And I kept saying like, I need to push. And I was kind of, before all of this, I didn't know, like, how will you know when you need to push? Oh, you know, trust me, you will know. I guess I should say you will know if you don't have an epidural or obviously a C-section. You won't be pushing, but you will know, trust me. And so I kept telling the doctor, like, I need to push. So she had Ethan hold up my legs to like a squatting position while they put like a pillow behind my back to kind of have me sideways. And then he was holding my legs up. And while all of this is happening, and she's like, okay, start to push when at this time, the people are like trying to wipe down this area to get an IV in for penicillin and all that stuff. And like in a blur of a moment, with 4 pushes, Harper was out. It was like the quickest thing ever. Very painful, But the quickest thing, honestly, it was painful in the moment, and I remember that, but I don't remember how painful it was. And so I don't even know how that happened, but they couldn't even get an IV in by the time she was out, so they just scrapped that idea. Obviously, epidural takes time to like kick in, so they were like, that's a lost cause. And to like describe what it feels like, honestly, it feels like the fattest poop of your entire life. I don't know if that's like too graphic, but it just feels like it just feels like the fattest poop of your entire life. I don't know if I have heard that it's common to actually poop while you are pushing. I don't know if that happened. Ethan wasn't paying attention to that, and the doctors actually don't tell you. I think if you were to ask, like, did I poop? They would tell you, but I think it's like, not policy, but it's just like common courtesy, I guess, to not say that, because it's not the most fun thing to know, like, and witness. People did mention, like, did you have the ring of fire or whatever? That's when essentially there's crowning, the baby's head is coming out and it just burns. Maybe, maybe not. I honestly don't remember. I just remember, like, get this baby out of me. I think the contractions were so painful that my focus and pain was on the contractions and less down there. Maybe I did, but I just didn't notice it. I had 2nd degree tearing, which is just the muscle, nothing else. And so that was really good. I was hoping for no tearing, but that's pretty uncommon, I think, maybe. They had to numb me in order to stitch me up. And so I felt the needle, and I remember like flinching because I was like, oh, that was painful. But I think that was because my adrenaline had subsided. And just to give a little context, if you're curious, birthing the part of the baby's head is so vastly different than when the rest of their body comes out. Because I distinctly remember the like fattest poop part is the head, like this coming out. It's the more solid of the part of the body, and so that was the hardest pushing. And then once that was out, comparatively, it was very easy, to the point where like I could feel the rip, like the rest of her body, you know, the arms and legs can kind of like maneuver and move around so it can fit through the hole a little easier. And so I could feel like the ripple as like the rest of her body came out, like from all the joints and like all the things. Apparently she came out looking like this. But so that was a nice thing. It was nice that the first part of the birth was the hardest part, like her head, and then the rest of the body was fine. I think everything happened so unbelievably quick that I didn't have a moment of like, oh wow, what a beautiful thing, I worked so hard for it. I did work really hard for it, but like I didn't have the time to like reflect or anything. It was just like go 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 go. And so once they put her on my chest, all I could think was like, oh my gosh, like she's still connected to me. There's a thing called delayed cord cutting, which there's still like, I think, nutrients going to her from the umbilical cord. And so they just wait a little bit until they cut it so that she can get the rest of the goods. I remember when she was still on my chest, they like moved her up and I could feel the cord down there. And I was like, oh gosh, like it wasn't painful at all, but I was kind of freaked out. I get nervous about this kind of stuff, but I'm like, ooh, if I pull her up too much or like move her around, then will the cord be like too short and then like tug, and then will it hurt? And I don't know, all these different things. So I was like frozen. I like didn't move, didn't smile, because I was like, what is going on? There's a second birth, which is essentially the placenta coming out. And I honestly don't even remember that. I don't remember having them push or if they like just pulled it out. But I think once your baby's out, you're just kind of like, whoa. Ethan did peek at the placenta and he was like, oh gosh, like I never want to see that again. And honestly, I wanted to do like a placenta, sell your placenta, because people will like gross, but I won't ask questions, but like dry it out and eat it because there's like a ton of nutrients in it. So I was like, oh, maybe we can make like big cash and like have it for her savings or something. No, didn't have that, or didn't do that. So all in all, no IV, no penicillin, no epidural, completely natural. I almost had a car baby. And I think in the room there were total of like 5 doctors and nurses in and out. all super unbelievably positive, encouraging, calm, and collected, which helped me stay a little calm and collected. They were even joking around, and it helped me. I wasn't chiming in or anything, but as I was hearing their jokes and their laughter, it really helped me feel comfortable. Yeah, it was just, I think when I think back on it, obviously it was very hard. Obviously it was very painful, but I remember the most how funny everything was. Everything was just like comical. It felt like a movie where nothing was going the right way. And I say that lightly because, you know, like we don't know where we're going. So we take the wrong turn, or like our bag's not packed. Those are very like lighthearted kind of wrong things. And so I just loved the story. I think all in all, my active labor or the delivery time was maybe like 10-15 minutes. By the time we left for the hospital to the time Harper was born was exactly 39 minutes. And so take 15 minutes of the drive out, what is that, 24 minutes? And of that 24 minutes, the pushing lasted probably only 10-15 minutes. So she was born very, very quick. I think next time I better be ready for a car baby, because that's a very real possibility for me. So anyway, thanks for listening. I know there are plenty of really hard delivery stories out there, or birthing stories out there, and I know there are some other ones like mine where it's just kind of funny. Every story is important, and every story matters to the mom who is working so hard to bring a baby into the world. If you are pregnant and expecting, best of luck to you. If you are a mama, you understand how fun it is to relive, or maybe not so fun, to relive a birth story. So I hope that you all enjoyed my story and can find comfort in, or at least humor in it. Thanks for listening.